Hey guys, Dr. Kirk here with Premier Chiropractic for another episode of Functional Friday. Today we're going to dive into some shoulder function and some shoulder movement, and then we're going to look at how a lot of the movements in the shoulder can maybe be predisposing you to problems and injuries. So, the shoulder is a four-joint complex. The first joint is your SC joint, your sternoclavicular joint. Second joint is your AC joint. Third joint is the actual glenohumeral joint, which is the ball and socket, which is this one right here. And then lastly, you have your scapulothoracic joint, which is how your scapula is going to sit on your rib cage. Okay, now this is the most freely movable joint of the system. There's nothing actually holding that joint down, so it doesn't have a capsular capsule surrounding it. It just kind of freely sits on the rib cage. So muscular activation around that shoulder blade is very, very important. Okay, so when you go to move, say you're going to lift your arm, typically you want to be able to differentiate scapular movement happening on your rib cage from glenohumeral joint movement, okay? How that works is the first 60 degrees that you abduct your arm, generally you want this to be all that's moving, okay? It's not perfect like that every time, but you want it to be around that 60 degree mark. The second 60 degrees, so from 60 to 120, you want that to be kind of mixed between the two. And then the last 60 degrees, you want mainly to be that scap upwardly rotating on your rib cage. Okay, what happens is a lot of times we have muscular tightness and a lot of different problems in terms of muscular activation going on around the shoulder blade that alters that nice scapulohumeral rhythm. So that's why it's very, very important that you activate the right muscles surrounding your shoulder blade, or it can be predisposing you to problems. One very, very common one that I see a lot in clinic is anterior tilt of your scap. So this is your shoulder blade, scap. Anterior tilt means it comes forward, okay? So that would be this kind of posture that you see a lot of in our society. Instead of bringing those shoulder blades back and down, stabilizing that shoulder blade, the thing tends to come forward. So some muscles that become tight when this happens are first and foremost your pec minor. Pec minor, it comes from right here on your coracoid process, attaches into these three ribs, okay? So when that's tight, it pulls everything forward. When that comes forward, everything else kind of becomes dysfunctional, okay? So the upper trap and the levator, so the muscles up here, those guys get really, really tight, and then you don't activate very well on the bottom part of your shoulder blade. That would be your lower trap, your serratus anterior, okay? So those muscles are very, very important if we want proper posture and we want to be moving properly, okay? So lower trap kind of comes down here, so it keeps everything down, and then serratus anterior kind of sits underneath the scap here, and it kind of sucks that scap right into the rib cage. That's very, very important for a number of different reasons. It helps to stabilize everything a lot better. So if you have a scap that's kind of winging out and you're not able to stabilize through there, it's going to alter the mechanics by which your shoulder is actually functioning. So the more this tilts forward, the more this has the likelihood to actually cause some impingement type symptoms, and you can actually start impinging on structures on the anterior part of that capsule. Also, let's say if you're a baseball player or something, and you're going to throw, or you're an overhead volleyball athlete, something like that, and you have that anterior tilt of the scap, and you're coming through, what that does is it puts more pressure on the front part of the capsule and a lot of the soft tissues up there. So that would be like the bicipital tendon, that anterior tilt, a lot of different things like that have been linked to slap tears, which is a tear of the bicipital tendon. Very, very important to an overhead athlete or a throwing athlete to be able to stabilize that shoulder blade properly, okay? Another aspect of this thing is how you move through your spine, okay? Which is something that's very, very overlooked clinically. So why that matters is if we look at this from the side, this guy doesn't bend forward, but if you think about, in our society, we tend to be too hunched over, right? So the more hunched over we get, the harder it is for this scap to be able to stabilize down, okay? So as much as you want to like do the exercises to activate this thing and bring it down, it's hard, and it's harder if you don't have the right joint movement here, Okay, so that's why, chiropractically speaking, I think we have the best tools to be able to help this out in terms of joint movement with the adjustment, in that we can help to get thoracic extension through these joints here. Okay, and that comes through, like I said, the adjustment. So that's some of the key areas that you can look at when you're talking about shoulder function. Now, shoulder pain and neck pain are two things that go hand in hand. Up here, like I said, you have your upper trap. It comes from the top of your shoulder blade, attaches into the base of your neck and the base of your skull there. So, if that thing gets tight, it actually affects everything up to here, which is your neck also. So people are like, oh, I have neck pain, but it can actually be coming from the shoulder. So it's important to assess all those things when we're really looking at shoulder function and looking at pain around your entire shoulder and your neck. Okay? So that's all I got for you guys today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments section below. If you don't already like our Facebook page, check it out, Premier Chiropractic here in Minot, North Dakota. If you haven't already looked at our website, it's premierchiropracticnd.com. And if you have a problem, especially say a shoulder problem, if you have pain in the upper part of your shoulders, anywhere in the shoulder, make sure to make an appointment now. We can help you out, get you out of pain, to make sure it doesn't become a bigger problem that you can't really come back from later on. So, thanks for tuning in, guys. Everyone have a great day.